Hello, everybody. This is Anthony, be honest, from Mission Start Podcast, and it's been a bit, I would say, but we have another edition of the Conover, and in this episode, we're talking about everything San Diego Comic Con, the mother of comic conventions, and with me to talk about it, we have Chris Sturm,
Yo, what up?
and also with us tonight is Jeremy Wilson.
Oh my god, I thought your voice is in my head. This is so relieving.
There is a song that is like that. I just can't remember which one it was, but yes, I am inside your head.
Anything by Coldplay, I imagine.
Maybe some other people might be joining us in this podcast, but for now it is just us three. And I wouldn't say we conquered. I would say that we survived.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get down to it, guys. Comic-Con happened. It was my first time going. Chris's, it was your first time going as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy, this is like your
Fourth
time. Okay.
This is my fourth time, third consecutive year. The prior one was about 12 years ago.
You lucky prick.
Not entirely. That 12 years ago thing was right before everything started to explode. That was back when you could walk up, buy a day, nobody cared, no lines for anything, no big companies, no media events. It was just this weird kind of, it was almost a pathetic Comic-Con at that point, honestly. It was more a bunch of independent artists trying to sell themselves to other companies and show off their own stuff than anything really industry.
As in, like, SAC Anime was larger.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I could definitely make that comparison.
You know, I've heard people pine for the good old days of Comic-Con, and I've recently reminded them, you know that there wasn't shit happening back then, right?
Yeah.
Like, just go to your own small grade cons instead.
So I think the first thing I have to say is I think, as far as the experience-wise for me and Chris, like, this is our first time going there, and when I went in to Comic-Con, not only just inside the convention itself, but just everything around it, I was overwhelmed. Like, I had figured out, I had a plan written out, I was going to plan the cover and whatnot, and for the most part I followed it, but like, because there were so many events happening at the same time, or any given moment an event happens, and you want to go attend it, is like, wow, this is one monster of a convention. But yeah, like for me,
I don't get to say this too often on these podcasts, but noobs.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. Like, it feels, because like the thing about it is like I was there for the entire 5 days, and like by the fifth day I'm just dead. I'm done. Like
I know I've tried to describe it to you guys several times in the build-up, but I don't think even Jesse and Steve, who were there for a day last year, I don't think they took me seriously when I mentioned how much you have to go through to prepare for this convention and how much there is to do. It's not like one of those things where as you approach the building, you think you got to get to point A to point B to point C. As you approach the building, you can get distracted by a myriad of different things happening nearby.
Yeah, not only that, but it's really helpful if you have, like, a good couple hundred, like a couple grand in spending money, just, at any given point for that specific convention.
oh yeah, definitely. And that's the other thing. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, like, I mean, I had like $300 to actually spend at the con, and I was out in like 2 hours. So, I mean, needless to say, like, if you're looking to go there as a collector for anything, I mean, have fun with that, because, I mean, like, if you're going there and you don't have money, it's like, have fun just walking around, and that's about it.
Right. Like, it is
Well-
oh, go ahead, Jerry.
No, finish your thought first, because
Okay.
I can ask my question later. It's ubiquitous.
Okay. Yeah, like and the thing about what I've hear in terms of people talk about Comic-Con, like, there's definitely an aspect of people who enjoy Comic-Con for what it is, and you don't have to spend a dime if you know where you're going. But there's definitely, and I noticed this when I was there, is like, there's definitely like some events that if you do want to go to, you have to pay for, and it is very much a convention where you will still have fun regardless, but if you want to have even more fun, it's gonna cost you, like, literally. That's something.
Well, when you say fun, you just mean buying stuff, right? Because they don't have extra tickets.
Well, like buying stuff, but also like for certain events as well. That is a ticketed event.
Well, there are no ticketed events inside Comic-Con, so I'm curious what you're talking about.
So one example was I saw this party offsite events, and it was the Halo Armor cosplayers were getting together and doing this thing with some developer of the Halo games that they did before.
Oh yeah, but see that therein is the difference. That's not a Comic-Con event. That's a third-party event.
Right.
Somebody else made that.
Yeah. Yeah. So like third-party events for like I kind of I thought it was associated with Comic-Con, which it kind of is, but not really. And the third-party events were kind of throwing me off. It's like if you want to attend this event, you have to pay. It's like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah. I mean, like not all events are paid at Comic-Con in terms of like the third-party events per se, but like certain ones are, and it was new for me because as a guy who's been attending anime conventions mostly, like the closest thing I came to buying ticketed events is like at Anime Expo last year. Yeah, so it was kind of new for me seeing all this happen in front of me. But yeah, yeah. So I mean, like you discussed this on your podcast, Jeremy, but like, what were some of the things that you were able to grab when you were at Comic-Con?
I was able to get my hands on 3 different types of convention exclusives. I bought 3 graphic novels for a total of about $28. I bought a couple individual comic books that I intend to get signed later. I paid Desert Wind Comics to get some stuff signed by Chris Claremont.
Nice.
So I had a variance of stuff to do, and that's not counting the different stuff I gave to my wife and my daughter so they could buy their own items. I'm actually kind of impressed with myself because I only managed to spend about $1,200 among 3 people over the totality of the weekend.
What was the goal, or what was like the kind of
the hard ceiling I set for myself was $1,800. That's the maximum I had. So I even underspent technically for what I did.
Nice, awesome. Out of curiosity, was there an item that you bought that you kind of regretted, like after buying it, that buyer's remorse type of feel?
Oddly enough, no. I'm nearly 40 years old, so I've hit that point in my life where my collection has hit critical mass. I actually went to Fanime and sold some stuff for about $800. I have a few other items earmarked for another swap meet, be it ALA or Fanime. So the 3 convention exclusives I bought, only one of those is of relative personal interest. The other 2 are stuff I looked at and just said, I like this stuff a lot, but if I have any sort of remorse, I could turn this around for almost double the money immediately.
Good point. Chris, out of curiosity, did you buy anything that you kind of regret afterwards?
Oh, hell no. Everything I bought, like, I went there specifically to buy the stuff. So, I'm super happy with everything that I have my hands on right now.
Gotcha.
I mean, like, I ended up snagging, let's see, 1, 2, 3 main Comic-Con exclusive Dragon Ball figures.
Nice.
And out of those, like, my favorite one that I got was a giant vinyl Goku figure that was by Bluefin. And at the time it was $65, and on eBay I'm seeing it for the cheapest price was $140. So, I mean, not too bad. I also ended up picking up a couple pop figures and some other goodies. And if I wanted to, I could sell it all and make back everything I spent, then some. But I'm too trash for everything that I've bought. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna take being in debt.
For me, because like I had no intention of buying much of anything at Comic-Con, but like I saw Blizzard's booth like toward the end of the convention center. I went and checked it out, and there was some cool stuff I want to get. And then it was at that moment as I was checking out what was there. It's like, okay, I'm gonna buy this plastic sword for $60. And I think it'll be okay, and I take it back to the hotel room, I take it out, I was like, I regret buying this now. So what I ended up doing is giving it to Brandon, and then Brandon had a friend who was really into Diablo. I was like, yeah, just give it to him, because the minute, like, as I was packing up, I was like, there's no way I'm going to fit this in my bag, and somehow get through security at the airport and explain why I have a fake plastic sword sticking out of my bag. So, yeah. That was my only regret buying.
You know, that
stuff.
actually turned into a topic of discussion in the room. Not the fact that you left it, but after you opened it and some of us saw it just sitting against the wall, some of us started to ask each other, is he really expecting to get on like a train or a bus without this in some kind of package?
Yeah, I the minute I got to back hotel room and I opened it up and find out how big and long this thing is, yeah, there was like, no, there's no way. So I had a thought that maybe you could bring it back to the booth and then have them just give it away to somebody. But then I asked Brendan, and Brendan's like, oh yeah, a friend of mine who actually likes Diablo. It's like, okay, cool, he or she can have it. So yeah, that was my only regret in terms of buying stuff. Other than that, though, everything else I bought, I was perfectly okay with. I was fine with.
I was going to say phrasing to your last comment.
I know. I was gonna pause for a second there, but no, I'm just gonna let it sit there for a minute, just like let people take it in.
Just pull the Archer phrasing moment.
But yeah, like Comic-Con itself, like we said, there's so many events happening at Comic-Con. Any particular event that stood out to you guys during your time at Comic-Con?
Well, I mean, I didn't exactly get to go to any events, more just like things that they had going on.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, I was sort of walking around trying to absorb everything. I ended up walking 12 and a half miles that day, and like just walking around there and taking a look at everything. Like I saw that they had an Adult Swim carnival that was set up by the harbor, which was really cool looking. And they were giving out free shirts and stuff like that. And it wasn't until afterwards I realized, oh yeah, I didn't even need to have a pass to go in there. And I was pretty bummed out.
Then what were the tickets for? They had a ticket booth.
Well, I mean, it's because they had a whole bunch of different like games and stuff like that. The tickets themselves, I think, were like to say, hey, this is your admission to go see the Rick and Morty screening, or any of the other like screenings that they were showing inside their little video dome.
Yeah, it was. You had to register online on the website, and then like you can have it text to your phone and show them to them at the door. But you didn't need a badge. You did not need a badge either way. So.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, anything that stood out to you, like in terms of like which event that like?
Oh wait, sorry, not to interrupt, but
yes, you did.
Well, no, it's just because it's like, wait a second, there was another thing. But no, they also happen to have a Frieza Force thing that was set up in Petco Park. And it was just really neat to go and check out. Like this, I mean, granted, it was a small little booth, and cosplayers such as Master Emily Chief, Living Ichigo, and a few others were there, to do their Dragon Ball cosplays and show off everything. But they set up a Frieza style spaceship, and you could play games and get your power level done, and It was just a lot of fun, like if you wanted to take a break from everything and didn't want to pay for anything. So.
Yeah, there's definitely that event. I remember seeing it on the way out from Petco Park. I didn't see it until as I'm literally like about to exit, and I see this thing about Dragon Ball Z. It's like, oh, I should check it out sometime, and I never did.
It was nice. It's more like oh hey, this is a thing you can do. Just kick back, relax, and just get a couple extra Comic-Con goodies.
Oh yeah, for sure. Jeremy, any particular event that stood out to you at Comic-Con?
Let me see. There was the Doctor Who panel, which turned out to be a walk-in, surprisingly. That was more interesting than I took it for because my wife is the Who fan. I watch it out of interest and respect for her. And then there was, God. Do you mean as far as inside the convention or in general?
Just in general. Could be inside or out.
I actually got I was actually surprisingly interested in the Xbox Lounge. That was really cool to walk around into. I'm glad I went during the last 2 hours it was open on the last day, though. I could have spent hours in that place.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I got my hands on Transformers Devastation for a little bit. Steve was checking out the Fables, I think, Legends they were showing off.
Mm-hmm.
And, my daughter got even to try out the newest Skylanders.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So we did a lot in there.
Did you manage to? Were you ever like you ever tempted to go into the Halo Nerf gun arena that they were doing there?
I was very curious, but at the same time, I was more interested in people watching the individuals who did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know what it was at first until like I went to the guy and asked him the people were in line for, and he showed me this monitor of like what they were doing inside there. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And the cool part is like the weapons were basically just modeled after the Halo weapons. It's like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was a nice idea. It took up a lot of space though.
Yeah, it did. But there's still plenty of space that they ended up using that was that kiosk set up.
I mean, the other thing that stood out was Hollywood Babylon.
Oh yeah, of course. That was great. That was awesome.
Everybody seemed to have a good time on that, despite the fact that it didn't start until the next day, technically.
Yeah, that was. I mean, yeah. There was audio problems apparently that with that event in the building, and
The House of Blues, you mean?
Yeah, the House of Blues, and they didn't fix it till like around midnight-ish. So, and we didn't get out till around like close to 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Now, I've often described this convention as the one place where you could feed all your fandoms. Do you think it lived up to that?
Yes.
Oh, easily.
I feel like every fandom that I had was there, and it was just like, okay, this is awesome.
Oh, in particular, the Namco Bandai booth that they had set up, like they had all these different things set up. Like you could play Project Cross Zone, the new one that they have coming out, the new Naruto game that's able to cover like all the way through the end of the series. They were showcasing a new Godzilla game over there, which looked really awesome, and it has everything from the first all the way till like the most recent movies, Godzilla, and its characters.
And the lines of people for the Street Fighter V demo?
Yes, I was in there.
By the way, I really liked how Ken Masters was being played during the whole little tournament that they had set up.
Yeah, like he is definitely a different character than his counterpart in SF4. He plays very different. The look is cool. I like the way he looks, how he looks, except for his hair. It looks like Play-Doh for some odd reason. But yeah, he looks cool.
No, he's an American. They don't know nothing about hair.
That's true. But yeah, actually, speaking of which, so for me, the events that kind of stood out to me at Comic-Con, and as biased as I say this, Street Fighter V panel was great. It was awesome. The reveal of Ken was pretty cool, and having Ono being there was pretty awesome as well. The other event for me that was really cool because I really wanted to try it out was the Assassin's Creed experience, where it was basically just an obstacle course, and I attached a GoPro to myself as I did the entire run, which you can go check out on our YouTube channel right now. And it was really cool. Like my costume was falling apart partway through the obstacle course, but I managed to get through it.
Spider-Man holding up his pants.
But yeah, it was cool. It was great. That Hallowed Babylon was another good one. I been listening to the podcast for a while since you turned me on to it, and it was really cool seeing Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman in person. I was like, oh shit, this is pretty awesome.
Oh, speaking of seeing famous people over at Comic-Con, as I was trying to walk my way over to the Funko booth, I ended up getting within 15 feet of Hugh Jackman.
What the fuck? He was there?
Yeah,
he was there
doing
for the
an
X-Men
autograph
panel, dude.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Not only that, but he was also doing an autograph session.
He was probably at the Fox booth, wasn't he?
I think so. He was doing autographs for the new movie where he plays Bluebeard.
Bluebeard. Oh,
yeah.
Pan?
Yeah, Pan, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't remember, I knew it was anyway, I forgot the title of the movie. And apparently, I didn't even notice it until afterwards, but when I was walking around, in town, I ended up walking past Tom Hiddleston, so that was pretty interesting. And it was just more like, oh, shit, I just walked past Loki, and it was like, well, that was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I think each one of us had a celebrity kind of crossing over in terms of passing by or how we saw. I think for me it was One of them, it was funny because like I couldn't tell if it was him or not. He was wearing a hat, but I swear I passed John DiMaggio, like as he was entering the elevator for the hotel. Like I'm kind of walking past him, and it's that moment where I stood there for a second after he passed me, like, and thought, is that John DiMaggio? I looked back, he's gone. I was like, whatever. So for me, that one of those celebrity moments was that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I also ended up seeing Dan Fogler, and I got to chat with him just for a little bit. I was like, wait, holy shit! Like I can actually talk with a celebrity here, and and I mean I know that's got to be censored with dolphin noises and whatever, but I mean like my expression was like, whoa! Like I'm actually talking with a movie star here, and like you're also like promoting your comic and stuff like that. And I was just like, dude, like it's so awesome. Like I didn't even know what to say because it was just like, wow, I sort of expected like security by you or something like that. Because I mean he's pretty good when it comes to all of his comedic movies and stuff, and it's just I don't know, surprising.
Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say, Jeremy?
I was going to say my wife had one of those moments. She spotted Stephen Moffat lounging by our poolside.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, and it was pretty cool. In terms of that these celebrities are like kind of amongst us nerds, and it's interesting to see the kind of mingling of the two, and where we can like find them.
I hated the fact, though, that she saw him lounging by the pool. She decided to walk away from him as I'm walking out, and she says, Jeremy, Stephen Moffat's by the pool. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure he's just out there lounging. He doesn't want to see people. I know. We have to go. Go take a picture of him. Oh, so you're going to make me that guy? Huh?
Did you be that guy, or?
I looked. He had already left by the time I was out by the pool.
Yeah.
And I can't say I blame him. He was already being bothered by people by the time my wife was leaving, so he wouldn't stick around long enough for me to do shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I also ended up seeing Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat's over, just like lounging around at the lobby of the hotel, and I was just like, I want to talk with you and get signatures, but it's just like I know you're gonna think that I'm being a dick for ruining your little like free time. I'm just like, but I want to. I have my stuff right here.
I think generally they're cool with it. I think that's, I mean, as far as my experience when it comes to with voice actors comp, like they're generally just cool with anybody being very appreciative in any way or fashion.
I think voice actors are generally more like, holy shit, you recognize me.
I know, right? Because you only hear their voice. You don't match it with the face. Unless, they're cosplaying as their own character, which is still pretty cool, but no.
Yeah, that and plus when like I first noticed Sean, like someone had pointed out, it was like, oh my god, it's Sean Schemmel, the voice of Goku, and then like apparently like he just wasn't really in the mood or whatever, because his response wasn't exactly 100% positive.
Ah, I see. Gotcha.
Maybe he's tired of hearing that particular description, and like that's not my one talent, you dick.
Well, to be totally fair, like that's like his bread and butter. But I mean,
that's what you understand it as. To him, his bread and butter is his vocal cords. The rest of that he can do without, I bet.
Yeah, I can see that. But still, I mean, it's just the idea. It's just, I mean, it's like, I'm so torn. Like, I'm within like 30 feet of you. I want to say hi. I want to talk, and it's just, but I don't know. It's really weird. Like when you actually have a lot of celebrities just around, because it's just like, well, you can talk with them, but you run this, off chance of like making them feel uncomfortable, and it's just,
you're going to be that guy.
Yeah, and it is a huge tease.
Yeah, it really is. Like it was definitely an interesting feeling. And some of these celebrities, it's just like, I know you from the internet, or I've seen you on movies or TV. It's like, I have no idea how to approach you, so I'm just going to stand back and just give you a nod. That's the best I can do.
Well, I told you that's what J. Scott Campbell did to me, right?
Oh, no way, did he?
Last year I went by his booth, got a print, and he signs the first item free at all times. So I stood in line to get it signed. And when he comes to me, I just said, thank you very much. I've been following your work since Gen 13. And he had that uncomfortable expression as he said, oh, you've been there that long, huh?
Like, so, I am so sorry.
That's one of those moments where I just became extremely self-aware, and I didn't apologize, even though I think he kind of read that expression on my face and said, dude, I'm so sorry. So when it came to this year, bought another item, got in line, and as soon as I got up to his booth, I looked him right in the face and said, I am not going to fanboy out on you this year. Would you mind just signing this? Then there's that hint of recognition that crosses his eye, and all he says is, well, thank you.
That is great. That's awesome. Yeah, it was definitely interesting for sure. I think the one... Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk.
Oh, no, that was actually me. I was going to say, like, I had a similar experience when it came to going over to the Suicide Girls booth and over to the Rooster Teeth and Mega 64 areas. Like, all those people, they were really, really chill, and it was just nice to actually have a chance to sit down and talk with them and stuff like that. And apparently, I ended up walking by Markiplier's little segments like twice, and I didn't even see him the entire time. And it was like, you're one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Comic-Con to begin with.
I had a feeling Markiplier was there. I swore I saw him walking past me. It's like, is that him? I can't tell.
Yeah, he was...
That's the danger at Comic-Con, is that for all the celebrities that are announced, there's probably a ton more that aren't on the billing that are either making an unscheduled appearance or they're just other geeks that are trying to find their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the thing is that apparently Markiplier's fans were so rabid would probably be the best word to describe it. Like, they were so, avidly, just... They were really rambunctious over at his booth, and Comic-Con staff actually had to go and shut down his line and everything like that.
Wow.
Jesus.
That is nuts.
That's sad.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like he even posted on his Instagram and everything like that. It says, Comic-Con made me shut down the line, and he's just got like this huge, like, adorable pouty face going on. And it's just like, why, God, why?
Yeah. That's actually something that nobody can prepare for. I mean, what do you guys think on the floor of the line control for all the various booths?
Well, Bluefin would actually be a great example. Like, when you gave me the pass, the first thing I got to do was...
you might want to edit that section out. I don't think that you want people to know that.
Well, no, I'm just saying it was for my specific
Just say
pass.
when you went inside, because they don't want people to know. It literally sounds like I gave you my pass.
No, I was just picking up the one that you had purchased for me, remember?
Yeah, again, can't do that.
Yeah.
You technically can't purchase off for other people. When you just say when you went inside.
Okay, fine. Can we please edit all that out?
Yeah, that's, yeah, for sure.
Thank. Okay, but, okay, so, just going back. So, when I had a chance to go over to the Bluefin booth, over in Comic-Con, like, the line for it was, like, they had to actually cap it off, and if you wanted a chance to actually go and get in line, you pretty much just had to jump in as soon as there was space open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely for me when it came to lines at Comic-Con, they were fine. Like, I don't think there was much of an issue. Yeah, like, some of the events I went to, like, had very little lines, or they had a line, but it was manageable. So yeah, like, for me, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bad as, say, like, Fanime 2-3 years ago. But, like, yeah, it was manageable. And even then, like, it just gives me time to, like, okay, I have time now to just sit down and relax in this line. What happened, like, during the events of the past several days at Comic-Con, and go on Twitter or whatnot.
Well, some people can spend all day even on, like, interior exhibit hall lines, and those are usually for very special appearances. I mean, you can see it in the photo gallery. I took a picture of one guy who was holding up a sign that somebody gave him that just says beginning of line for Stanley autographs. And as I was taking his picture, he said, you got to go back there for the line. I said, oh, I don't care about the line. I just thought this picture of you standing here with this goofy little sign was funny. So.
Just rub salt in the wound a little bit.
Oh,
No, that actually made him smile, because he just said, well, one of the guys from the booth just gave this to me and said the line starts here, and I'm like, cool.
That's great. That's awesome. What was I gonna say actually? So speaking of which, so my misconception in terms of, like, how information it comes out of Comic-Con, and I had this, like, idea that everybody there knew what was being announced at any given moment. I was completely wrong. Like, like if there was any big events or anything big that was announced at Comic-Con, like I didn't know about it until afterward. Like that's what the day's done and checked on Twitter or on Facebook to find out later on.
Information at this convention moves at an extremely rapid pace. You have to have your nose in social media to be able to follow it as it occurs. And I don't know if that's a strength of the convention or a weakness, but that's one thing I've learned. You got to have your phone, I don't want to say in your hands at all time, but I would check it like every 15 minutes if there was something specific I was looking for.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, that perception of what I had prior to coming to this convention was completely different than what I learned at Comic-Con.
Again, it's all subjective, though. If you're hunting a particular item or event or you're checking lines that day, then your phone is highly necessary. If you're just there to wander around, you can put that away because there's way too many things to look at.
Oh, agreed. There's so many things happening at any given moment.
Oh, God. And just looking at all the different advertisements that they had up on the buildings and stuff like that. For example, like the big TBS, Conan O'Brien Funko Pops that they had all on, I can't even remember which hotel it was, but like it was just...
That was my hotel, I think. That was the Marriott Marquis Marina.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was on the it was on the side facing the convention center. That's right. That's right. And
yeah, that's right. They had the strain on the bayfront. That's it.
Yeah. and I mean, just like seeing all the advertisements that they had on different little shops and stuff like that, it was just, it was unreal to see just how much attention the convention was getting, and I honestly enjoyed every bit of it.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing that stood out to me, and I it gets crowded at Comic-Con, specifically on the Friday and Saturdays of the convention. I think what really surprised me is like I go out there early in the morning, around 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's already pretty packed. Like not maximum to what Saturday or Friday was, but even still, just seeing the sheer amount of people up that early to go to Comic-Con, it's just like, wow, this is nuts.
You know what? 9 o'clock, I would say, is a late start for Comic-Con. I actually did some exclusive hunting at the Hasbro booth, and because I was trying to help run the team and everything, that meant I didn't have the usual time I had to just wander by the booth and get lucky like I do. So I told myself, okay, I'll actually try to do this the way everybody else does. And I would say that there's a bunch of people already getting ready for the following day at about 2 in the morning, realistically.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
The convention opens its doors officially at 9. However, business at the convention starts at 7. At 7 is when they let in the first people in line for the exhibit hall line and the ticketing for either autographs or exclusive hunting at booths.
Oh, okay.
And then those people can either get into the exhibit hall line or they can leave for the morning. And then the doors officially open at 9.
Okay.
And then this convention does not close its doors again until 7. It is the longest running days that I know of at a single convention that does. Even some of the 24-hour cons don't have their exhibit halls open that long.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Fanime did extend theirs out till I think it was like 7 or 7:30 this year. So.
Right, but you don't see people getting out early to just go to exhibit hall at Fanime.
Oh no, of course not. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like the ending time when they close it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I didn't even realize that everything started so early until about a couple days after the convention was already over with. And by the way, I have to say, if anyone is looking at like staying with friends or whatever, like in my case, my an old elementary school friend of mine, he let me stay at his place about 3 miles away, and I was looking at parking on my Friday walk over to the convention because I ended up locking my keys in his house.
Oh, you didn't explain this part.
Yeah, so remember when I messaged you guys and said, yeah, I sort of like got off to a bad start? It was like, yeah, I sort of locked my keys in my car. I didn't have anything to get signed or do anything. I was just like, well, I'm hoofing it. And no, I was looking at parking on the way over, and I saw lots that were $40, and the highest rate that I saw was I think it was $60 for an all-day thing, and it was, even then it was still like, good 6-7 blocks away from the convention.
Yeah, you guys didn't keep track of the parking sale, did you?
No.
Okay, for those that don't know, there's a company that runs all of the local parking in the Gaslamp district of San Diego. It's called Ace. Ace partners up with the convention to develop the prices for parking, and the cheapest I've heard of in the Ace parking sale is $15 for the day. It can go as high as $30 within the parking sale. And these are spots at Petco Park, which is adjacent and across the street to the convention center. This is in the Bayfront, which is adjacent. This is underneath the convention center itself, which I think is the cheapest at $15. So those spots go in the similar lottery system as the badges and the hotels do. That's what kind of demand is available here. And those are the cheapest rates. So when you saw those lots at $40, technically those were the cheapest ones available for people who made last-minute plans.
Wow. That's nuts, but understandable.
You know, and parking sells out like everything else, man.
With the sheer amount of people that were there, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of the local area? Because as much as I've given you descriptions, I don't think there's anything like standing in front of that convention center and staring at that 5th Street promenade as the sea of people are crossing that street, which cannot allow cars during these 4 days.
Yeah, that's...
Well, not until nighttime at least, but man, it was so... Okay, my favorite thing was on Saturday when it was when I actually had my chance to get inside the convention and everything like that. So the Jesus protesters that we always see over at every convention.
Yep.
First thing at like 10 in the morning, I see that one guy has already passed out, and they had an EMT by him. I was like, finally, some retribution for being a terrible bigot.
Oh, no, don't you understand? Jesus struck him down.
No, but even better was, like, it was probably, like, around 3 o'clock or so. There was this huge group for the new show, Damien and Mark of the Beast on A&E.
Oh, yeah, the new Elman show, yeah.
Yeah, and they had, like, their whole squad set up, and they were doing loud chanting, you know, saying... like, and the flesh shall be sacrificed to the Dark Lord, and, like, they were going on, like, with these whole, you know, awesome, you know, like, devilish spiels, and they were doing that right next to a crowd of, like, in between the crowd of Jesus protesters at the tram system and the ones that were off at that little corner section in the 5th Street Promenade.
Ah.
And it was a delight, and I wish that my battery didn't die at me at that point.
No, I can relate. Like, there were definitely some moments for me when I was walking in the city, where random events happen like that. Like, I remember running into the, I can't remember what exactly show they were promoting, but they were just, they were all Scottish people.
Outlander.
Yeah. So so they would be in a big group, and they'd be playing the bagpipes, and like they'll bring people in, and they'll start dancing in a circle, and they would go out throughout the entire city of San Diego just doing that, and that was really cool. That was pretty awesome.
That's another thing that happens that's hard to describe to people unless they arrive, is the level of marketing out there. And I don't mean just people standing around handing out stuff to you. I mean the imaginative levels they go to, including the Scream Queen's ice cream stand. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, what this was, for people who don't know, is a rolling ice cream stand, and they weren't asking for money. It had Scream Queens in vinyl on the side and on the umbrella, and what you needed to do to get a free ice cream cone was run up to them and give them your best terrified scream.
Oh, yeah, that's right, for Scream Queens.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, man. It was really weird. Like, I ended up, like, walking past without even noticing it, and... Of course, all they had were the strawberry and vanilla mixes to show us, like, hey, the show's all bloody and everything like that. And
and it's the level of imagination that gets me. There was the Colony Uber truck.
Yeah.
You get picked up, they give you a beret, and they drive you around this military vehicle. There was the Viking longboat that was touring around. God, there was something else that stuck out in my mind. Oh, Comedy Central mini golf over at the Hilton Bayfront.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool. That was interesting. But yeah, there's definitely...
They're finding imaginative ways to get the attention of people who they know spent $200 to get inside something else. It's like, we got to give them something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anything. Yeah, it was pretty cool seeing all this stuff that's out there in the city. One of the cool moments for me, and it's actually in one of the Instagram videos I posted. And actually, what was it? I periscoped the event too. So what happened is I was, during this time, like people would be giving each other rides in terms of like these people in bicycles, and they'll charge for a certain amount or whatever.
Do you mean the pedal cabs or do you mean the group bikes?
Pedal cabs, I believe.
The three-wheeled items, right?
Yeah.
That's a pedal cab, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that kept playing Uptown Funk like all the time, up and down the street. Like there's no other song to play.
Right. There was definitely a different theme for each one. I saw a Game of Thrones pedal cab one point. The one I went on, which I think was probably the most fun I had on a pedal cab, was there was this guy who was dressed as Spider-Man, and like I called for him because I needed to get to the Super Funland event happening, and I told him where to go. And the cool thing was like he was just blasting just every Spider-Man music he can find that was in his pedal cab. And like we're going through, and it was really cool. We ran into another guy who was in a Spider-Man cab. We ran into the Stephen Colbert pedal cab, but it was like more than just a pedal cab. It was like 10 people on it, and like there were TVs in front of them, and they were pedaling. So
yeah, that's the group bike. The people have to pedal themselves around technically in that one. There's just one guy up front steering.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, so we ran into them and eventually got to our spot. But it was really cool. Like I had a lot of fun. The guy was cool. Just the kind of whole adventure of that was pretty awesome. That and just like freaking, like I had again, like I said, like I had figured like the size of the amount of Comic-Con has. But the more I spend at Comic-Con, the more realization, like, this is much bigger than I realized. Like, I went and discovered Petco Park, and on the side it had this entire area that was covered, that had, like, Dark Souls 3 thing going on. It had, like, something like a roller coaster that they had set up, as well as food trucks. It's like, this thing cannot stop. This blob of a convention is huge.
Jesse nearly passed out when I told him, I wish this convention went another couple days. And he said, what? I was just, well, there's so much to see and so much to do. I could even hang out inside the convention and go nowhere else for 2 more days. Just hang around here, man.
Yeah, and that's when I told you you're a madman for that.
I was set to go. I think I was the only one who I kept saying in just about every podcast and every prep, Dr. Scholl's, buy some gels. And nobody listened. And Jesse was hobbling around after 2 days. My wife and my daughter were both still digging it, but Steve looked exhausted, and I was the only one going, come on, man, we got to walk 3 blocks to do something. Come on.
Jeez, I mean, here I am. I was walking around in a pair of flat slip-ons, and I walked 25 miles at least, and I wasn't complaining.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you guys a question, since you're both relatively new to this. The badges for this convention, at least for 4 full days, minus any preview night or other items, is $185. Based on what you saw, granted that both of you saw like a day or two, do you think that's a fair value for what they offer?
Yes.
Yep. By the way, I explained that to a lot of people in the anime community. They go, why would you pay $200 for a badge? Have you gone?
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I think, if anything, 185 is I think kind of nice for the...
I was going to say, you think it's cheap for what they offer?
No. I'm just saying, like,
I don't think some people would argue that at this point.
Yeah, like there was so much to do inside and out that I think it is very worth the price of 185 for a Comic-Con. Yeah, it definitely is, and Chris, I think you can attest to this as well.
Yeah, because honestly speaking, like, at first glance, I was like, oh, okay, well, Comic-Con, I already know it's going to be expensive and everything like that. So let me get a good idea for, like, what I'm actually going to see, and then I can make a judgment about prices from that perspective. Yeah. Because, like, beforehand, I was like, dude, I'm fucking poor. I barely have any money. Yeah, I know, dolphin noises. But I know I'm, like, poor, and I only have so much, like, to actually, spend. And,
yeah.
And the thing is, just, like, my entire savings could have easily just been poured directly into buying a weekend pass. And honestly speaking, after getting a chance to go to Comic-Con, I would say that it's just about worth it. I mean, the fact that it's, you have an opportunity to just see celebrities, like, and it's no pressure. Or the fact that, like, heck, I was 15 feet away from my favorite male actor, like, I mean, like, I kid you not, like, Hugh Jackman is my number one, like, actor out of all of them, and, like, I was just there. I got to see him.
I like how you qualified that with my favorite male actor. You know, this is the one guy I might rub penises with.
Shh, we don't talk about that. But yeah, no, I mean, I have a lot of favorite different actors, and it's just, but no, I mean, the fact that, like, I mean, the fact that, you know, you get to see celebrities like that, then sometimes they're just walking around and having a good time at the convention themselves. It's all just very nice.
That's the weird part. I've walked around and I've seen a couple celebrities walking the floor with some security or minimal security. They look just as awestruck as anybody else. You know, all these people with all this money, and they still have that expression of, oh, this is where the 5-year-old in me lives.
The one other thing I wanted to point out, because it was very interesting kind of coming from an anime convention perspective to a comic book convention, is that there was a less emphasis on cosplay at this con. I mean, there are definitely still people in cosplay, and I cosplayed for a day or two, but, like, it wasn't the main thing there. It was, you know, more about getting whatever you want at Comic-Con in terms of buying, you know, whatever item you want, just moving the entire time. Like, inside that convention center, you can't stop for 1 minute to look around, or else, you know, somebody run into you. So you have to keep moving the entire time. It was interesting to see that perspective. Don't get me wrong, I went to the Marvel Gathering, and that was fun, that was great. But in terms of costume to, you know, attendee, like, people, I would say, like, it was, like, at the very least, like, a 5-to-1, like, one cosplayer for every 5 people I saw. And
I would say the ratio is even smaller than that, really. There was not many cosplayers compared to the general populace. But I don't think that's... I think that's kind of unavoidable at this convention. There's already so much to see and do. Spending time just hunting cosplayers is almost unfeasible.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
and the thing is, like, even if you are a cosplayer, it's just, like, there's no real point in dressing up, like, unless you're doing it to help out a big promotional thing. Like, for example, Living Ichigo, Master Emerald Chief over at the Dragon Ball thing. Like, even then, it was more like a promotional piece that they were in costume for. So, like, if you're a cosplayer, it's just like, well, I mean, may as well just enjoy your con as a civvy and, you know, just deal with that.
Right, definitely. And, like, the one thing I've learned is that if I do go back to Comic-Con for the future and coming years, like, if I were to cosplay again, I would say do cosplays that are very light and very mobile friendly, because anything outside of that may just be harder just to move around in the con or outside the con.
Yeah,
that's why I always say... Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, like, either that or just forego cosplaying just for Comic-Con.
Good
because
point.
You have I mean, you're going to be packing for a weekend anyway. I mean, just make it easier on yourself and go with that, because either A, you're going to do nothing but get stopped and not get to enjoy the convention, or B, you're going to end up, you know, just, you know, having to spend so much time and stress, you know, trying to worry about all the particulars of your costume that, I mean, you end up taking away from your own convention experience, and that really sucks.
Yeah, it's fair to say this is one of the few conventions where you don't have to worry about entertaining yourself. Everybody else already has.
Yes, agreed. I mean, freaking, what was it? Like, if you went to the Star Wars panel in Hall H, like, they literally took you after the panel.
I will hate those people forever, man, because I had a chance to go, but I'd already bought tickets to a Kirby Crackle concert, which was very cool. But if I had any inkling something like that was going to happen, and I should have with the opening in the Boston Pop schedule, you know, you would have had to take an elephant to pry me out of that goddamn room.
Agreed. I would have done the same. People who don't know, so after the Star Wars panel ended at Comic-Con, they asked everybody in the rooms, like, how would everyone like to go to a concert of Star Wars? And everybody's like, yeah. It's like, all right, let's go. So they literally took him to a concert of Star Wars, which is crazy and awesome. It's like, holy shit.
They didn't just take him to a concert. They took him to the Embarcadero, that concert hall that's at the back of the convention center on the bay.
Yes. Oh,
you know,
my God.
I've been there for Video Games Live. They offered us a few tickets to shows this year, and I have not seen a better concert venue than that. It's open. It's natural. You're there during sunset. I mean, frick's sake, man. If you are looking to get laid, take your woman to a concert with the San Diego Pops out there in the Embarcadero.
That is some true words of advice.
Oh, by the way, speaking of late time performances, thanks to the events that we had running and everything like that in our own little arrangements, I got a chance to go check out the Walking Dead live telling, or like live speaking with the Telltale cast.
How was that?
Oh God, it was amazing. And by that I mean, I have made mention of this before, and I even told Dave Fenoy to his face at SAC Anime, which he ended up recognizing me.
Oh wow,
surprisingly.
That's interesting.
But yeah, no.
That's when he said, "You shut up and get out."
Something along those lines. But no, like, oh man, I bawled. I was just crying when they were doing
Really?
their lines for episode 5.
And they did a live reading of that episode. Was it the entirety or was it snippets?
It was snippets because, like, when you were looking at doing like an entire season of Walking Dead, I mean, they only had an hour to do like 3 hours worth of content.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it was more like, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do this snippet here from like, you know, second arc of episode 2, or, you know, like whatever. And, you know, like, they had very specific segments, and then after that, they gave you a little video clip of a montage of things that happen in between from, you know, one speaking point to the next. And the thing is that apparently none of the voice actors there had ever been in the same room with one another when they were doing their voicing roles, like when they were setting up
one of those jobs. Huh?
Interesting.
So the first and possibly only time they did their live speaking thing, or rather, like, when they were together doing their thing was in the live speaking event. And just seeing everyone crying at the end was, it wrenched me so hard.
Wow.
And this didn't happen at Comic-Con. This was at the Walking Dead Fan Fest, right?
Yes.
Or Walker Stalker Con Fan Fest. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I mean, I was really happy because I ended up also getting my little badge signed off by the voice actors there, and it was a wonderful experience. But I told Dave that it was like, just as I saw you over at SAC Anime, and like just as I told you then, I'm going to tell you now, you made me cry, and I loved every second of it because I'm an absolute masochist, and your voice acting and just the way that you presented your lines was incredible, and that's
when he said, "I told you, get out of my house."
Wow.
He's like, why are you in my bathroom? But no, honestly speaking, like, I shed big giant cartoon tears. It hurt so good. And like, it's an experience that, like, you really don't have an opportunity to see elsewhere. And then afterwards they ended up following it up with like with a retelling or like a revisioning of the I think it was like 28 Days Later, done like all in CG from a little independent film company, which I mean, like, the premise behind it was interesting and all, and I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and stick around and, you know, get a look at this. But I mean, I really hate saying negative things, especially to
28 Days Later is a different breed of zombie entertainment altogether.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, I think it was 28 Days. Anyway, the point is that they had this little zombie movie playing, and I mean, like, what they tried doing, like, I saw the effort that they put in. It's just that when you have, like, early PS2 grade graphics when you're doing a computer-generated movie, and, like, when it hurts your eyes to actually watch it, and like when the audio doesn't sync well.
Oh, wow.
And when you have the voice actors not delivering their lines like 100%, it's just
Right, I definitely hear you. Like,
I mean, I tried. I gave it like 35 minutes, and then after that I was just like, I've got to go. I'm not digging it. I mean, not to say anything against them whatsoever, because like they put in so much effort to it. It's just, it was underwhelming. I was just like, I feel so bad that I have to say this.
Well, actually, we should give a bit of thanks because I got those tickets via Wikia.
Oh,
The Wikia Fan Express I was involved in, the train ride from Los Angeles to San Diego.
oh yeah.
Oh.
That was part of a contest. I entered quickly and won that for us.
Oh, neat.
This
I had no idea. I thought that was just from our little prior arrangement.
No, that was me being quick on a keyboard. I got an email while I was on the Comic-Con floor that the first 5 people to respond got free tickets to the reading for Telltale Games at Walker Stalker Fan Fest. So I just sent back an email that said simply, yo.
This episode was brought to you by Wikia.
So after I sent that, I got an email response a couple minutes later and says, what names do you want it under? It's like, hey, cool.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Wiki actually had a pretty good setup. They set up a free train for their members, one of which I am, or a free train car, I should say, from Los Angeles to San Diego, and they pre-bought my round trip ticket. They gave me a ride there.
That's pretty sick, man. That's a pretty good deal. Yeah. Jesus.
But they didn't do it entirely out of the goodness of their heart. They also had the chance to allow some people the opportunity to do specialized merchandising and advertising towards us. So I watched a couple presentations of different items, and one of the heads of Dark Horse told us what kind of stuff they were looking for when they were figuring out which comic book properties to go with and what stories to present. And also got to hear a new vocal band called the Library Bards.
Interesting.
Oh, if you don't mind my asking, considering that you mentioned that you won the tickets by entering a contest, I was just wondering, there were a bunch of different little contests that were going on inside the convention itself. Were you able to win any on those?
Not personally. I know Wiki was doing stuff, but because I was doing media functions, I tried to stay out of that for the majority of it. If it had to do with tickets or some kind of special premiere, they had my interest, but when it came to the scavenger hunt, as interesting as that sounds, and as much as that's usually my dig, it felt kind of disingenuous to enter into it,
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to bring it up, for those of you who are interested in checking out San Diego Comic-Con, they have, if you're just roaming around and you find a booth that's particularly interesting, chances are they're going to run a little contest. Mm-hmm. So all you have to do is in these particular cases, you just present your badge, and then they'll give it a quick scan and says, okay, so you're entered, and we'll email you if you want something. And what was really nice is that there was, I can't remember the name of the, the movie collectibles website where they sell, all the collectible figures and stuff like that.
Is that Gentle Giant, or was it Sideshow Collectibles?
Sideshow. So, just by entering the contest, they give you a $25 gift card to their online store, which is super awesome. So,
considering the average item there costs a minimum of $200, that's highly needed.
Yeah, so, if you're going into Comic-Con, by all means, hit up every single booth that you can and just enter into their contest just for free goodies.
Mm-hmm. It was funny you mentioned it, because, the minute I got into the convention for the first time, I enter, and the first thing I saw was the, I'm going to butcher his name, because I always do, the Kotobukiya booth.
Yeah.
And the lady's up there is like, hey, do you want a free figurine? It's like, yes, your company's awesome, sure. It's like, hey, yeah, so, be back around 3 or 6 o'clock. She gave me, a ticket, and she's like, yeah, just come back, and, we'll do a drawing, and, from there, you might win a prize. So, yeah. I can attest to what Chris is saying. Definitely, there are booths around the con that you could just go in and they'll run contests for.
Yeah, but if you're listening to this and going, you know what, screw the rest of my calendar, I want to go to this, I don't think I'm being disingenuous or dramatic when I say start planning now.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Start planning right frickin' now, because you need to have money set aside in the near future.
Yeah, no, easily a good few thousand.
Well, not even spending. The fact that the badges, are a minimum of 50 a day right now, and I don't see those going up in the next couple of years. The hotel requires 2 nights deposit up front. So as soon as you say that's the hotel room I choose, they're going to want a minimum of about $500 from you right that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the idea of spending, and all these items that you will probably be able to find on eBay within hours. I grant you that, but if you want to save the absolute amount of money, you are going to need cash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, actually, speaking of finding stuff on eBay hours after, I went and I was roaming around again for the Dragon Ball figures. They were selling these Goku figures for $45, and like within just buying my big ones, which were a different model entirely, I go and I look on eBay and they're already listing it for $150 to $200.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, like it was same day, like it was 11:30 in the morning on Saturday, and there were listings for stuff that's for, $150, $200, and it was selling too. That's the thing.
I'm curious now because I bought some exclusives from Blizzard, from the Heroes of the Storm game. They're like small vinyl figurines, so I'm kind of curious as far as like how much you're going for right now. Actually,
You should check the book I bought from Udon, the exclusive they offered as far as the Akamon book.
mm-hmm.
I've only seen one listing, and I don't know if it's sold or not, but one guy put an unsigned version directly on eBay at $175, and I paid $100 for it flat, and I got it signed, which this guy did not. So I'm curious at this point.
Wow, I'm nuts.
You know, and this should have been harder to get than it was because I managed to get a badge that had preview night access. So I walked in, and they were the first booth I visited. I went directly to that booth and just said, "You got the book?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Can I buy one?" And she had to ask like the higher ups, "Are we allowed to sell these yet?"
Oh yeah.
So she went around with a couple people, and she said, "Okay, yeah, I guess I can sell it to you." Cool, And so I held up a couple C notes, and she just said, "Oh no, I think it's only $100." Oh really? So I took one away. It's like,
Oh, speaking of great deals, now that you mentioned your books, Suicide Girls, they ran the greatest possible promotion that they could have ever done over at their booth.
lap
So,
dances?
well, if you were at the burlesque show, you would have seen some dancing.
Oh yeah.
I was with
and-
my wife and my daughter. Something tells me that's not something I was going to do.
Yeah, that's something I missed out on. Boo-hoo, we all cried.
No,
a
you
little bit
didn't. They're
inside.
my wife and daughter. You didn't miss crap.
No, I'm talking about the show, numbnuts.
Thank goodness, because you and I were about to have a fist fight.
Well,
But no,
I was
anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
So anyway, the books that they have, like I think they normally run $45 on their $40 on their website, and they were running a deal which was like, hey, you like one of the photo books? Buy one get one free. So here I am. I shelled out $80, and I ended up walking off with $175 worth of stuff because on top of that, like on top of having 4 books, and mind you, they're like 10.5 pounds a pop. I ended up getting a $15 little magazine from them, and on top of that, I even got them to sign off on the books, which was really, really nice.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like I said, like going to Comic-Con, it's great. You'll find things that you will never, ever come across ever again.
Oh yeah, the graphic novels I bought retail together were about $85. I paid 28, maybe 35 in total after taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And these are all current stuff and a hardcover even.
The interesting thing, because as you guys were talking about this, I kind of looked up on eBay to see what my vinyl figures were going for. I see nothing of it, but the interesting thing I did see is that people were selling the actual bag that they gave you after you bought some stuff from Blizzard. And it's like going for like, $15, $20, but still kind of like, it's interesting to see that anyways. It's like, huh, okay, all right, it's exclusive, so I guess that works, but yeah.
That's the other amazing thing about Comic-Con advertising. Sometimes it's just the bags they give you stuff in. I bought something from, superhero stuff. And I needed a hood. I just needed a sweatshirt because I didn't bring one with me, and I've been needing a nerdy hoodie for a while. So after I bought it, they gave me they said, okay, you spent over $40, so you get a free bag. And I'm like, free bag of what? And they said, The Walking Dead or Star Wars? Give me the Star Wars one. And I wore the hoodie out, but there were a few people who kind of did a double take of the hoodie, but they did a triple take of the bag and said, ooh, where'd you get that?
Oh, yeah, no, and like getting the bags over at the convention, that was absolutely necessary. Because, let's go with the Funko one, for example. Mind you that they had tickets just so that way you could buy things at their booth. Like, you couldn't walk up to them, which, I mean, it's Comic-Con. It kind of
highly
makes sense.
necessary. I can actually tell you a story I found out when I was reading the SDCC blog.
Okay.
Or the unofficial one. Funko started out with no ticketing system. They just had people walk up. But by day 2, they found out that they were having a logjam of individuals just swarming that corner of the exhibit hall, and it was creating a problem. So by Saturday, they had worked up their own ticketing system. They had their members stand out in front of the doors where you enter the exhibit hall from in Hall G on the far end. But people didn't know that this ticket system was in place because they neglected to put on any kind of social media. So people were walking right by the guys with the tickets to the booth. They practically had to stop people and shove it in their hands so they had any idea what was going on. So there were people that got all the way to the booth, found out there was a ticket, and then they asked, where are the tickets? Oh, over in Hall G. That's where I came in from. Well, I don't know. They were there. Yeah. It created a serious problem.
Yeah, I definitely saw that huge line for that booth. And one of the days I was there, it might have been Thursday or Sunday, but it was crazy. Like, yeah, that was a huge line for that. I was like, wow, that is, all right, cool.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like I said, I found that out way after the con.
Oh, no, it's fine. I guess definitely. There are so many things happening at one time at Comic-Con. It's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah, no, like, if I could have split myself, like, into 4 separate people, just like Tien and Dragon Ball. Yeah, because I'm fucking trash. That show. Anyway, like, even if I could have split myself out into 4 people, like, I still couldn't have covered everything in one weekend.
Yeah, I realized I spent so long trying to do outside stuff, even though I had a 4-day badge, that I need, next time I go to Comic-Con, I'm pretty sure next year I'm going, to spend time just inside the convention and looking through things.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this convention is a beast. This thing is inside and out is just one massive convention, and yeah, yeah.
Well, now that you 2 have had your taste of Comic-Con heroin, are you looking for another fix?
Of course I am. I just need money.
This is the one convention all year, and I've been to ALA, Fanime, Kamikaze, WonderCon, Anime Expo. This is the one convention where I had that anxiety heading into it. I got to get there faster. And it's the one con, by the time it was over, I had that feeling of, make it go longer.
It's nuts. Like, because, like, for me, like, I had a ton of fun and going to Comic-Con for the first time. Something on my bucket list I truly wanted to do before, other things I want to try out or conventions I've never been to. For me, I was just so dead and exhausted by the end of it. I was like, I need a break for a while from Comic-Con, or just, maybe until next year, maybe. But, like, for me, like, do I want to go back for Comic-Con next year? Up in the air. Don't get me wrong, tons of fun and everything, but just the sheer amount of just energy that just kind of took out of me the entire 5 days was just pretty draining on me. But nonetheless, I think that if people who are interested in going, they should go. I think that if you're somebody who, like me, who has never been, I think it is a definitely convention you should go at least once. It is by far the biggest and most fun comic book convention that I've ever been to.
Well, not to sound cruel, but I will say this up front to your face. If you are not going to Comic-Con next year, you're going to help me get people into Comic-Con next year.
That is perfectly fine. I am okay.
Not even because I'm sitting here saying I made promises, because I sincerely have to get into next year.
I hear you, definitely. Like I said, this is a convention that is a beast. It is huge. It does deserve and need as many people as humanly possible in terms of websites and covering it, because that's our jobs and that's what we do. But yeah, Comic-Con, guys, it was a thing that happened.
It is the monster that has earned its reputation.
Yeah, I agreed. I'll say one more thing before we end the show. So as we kind of hinted out at the podcast, I actually went to check out the burlesque event. Brendan was going to check it out, but
oh, you saw the dance I did? That's so cute.
yes, Jeremy, you were quite sexy.
You.
So yeah, like, I went to check it out. Brendan gave me one of the tickets because he wasn't able to make it. So I went to check it out, and I didn't expect much per se. Burlesque shows have always been fun and entertaining to watch. So it was at the House of Blues, same place as How Would Babylon that was being held at. I'm there. I get in finally. It's a standing room only. So the first floor was standing room, and then upstairs there were some chairs that you could sit in, but they're already filled up by the time I got in. There was 2 bars, one in the top floor, one below. So I'm just kind of standing there and just relaxing, watching the event. And the thing is though that like obviously the TNA is obviously there to be seen, but like I like the fact that these girls have these different theme dances for each girl that comes out and do their thing. That's related to the comic convention. So there was.
When you say different themes, did you mean there were comic book related, sci-fi related?
Yeah,
what?
definitely. There was definitely comic related, video game related, and sci-fi related. I think the one that got me just laughing a bit, and just like in a way, just like that's pretty cool that they did that. Was 3 of them were dressed from Adventure Time, and it was just like that is sick, and it was.
Wow, that is not something I connect my libido to.
Well, Rule 34, so.
Yeah, no, I find that.
That's your rule, not mine.
I find that entire thing just like cute and funny. To like they went and they did that theme for Comic-Con. So and it was cool. It was entertaining. I had a blast.
I didn't think that you could find titty as cute and funny.
I mean, look, dude, I won't go into detail.
You can, but usually you have to teach it to sit up and beg first.
Like I won't go into details, man. But like as a person who's been to, I'm just gonna
More than one?
No, well, I'm gonna take that back. I have actually the one at Anime Expo that I went to. Yeah, like it's like fun to go to and just chill and just have a good time.
It's fun-ish.
Depends on who you are, but. Yeah, like no, I had fun. I had a blast, and seeing naked women, like I've seen naked women before. I'm an artist, so me.
Also the internet.
Well, that's true too, but like as an artist, it's like I see him on a daily if I go and take the college courses, which I've done. So to me, it was like, oh hey, you're naked. Okay.
I'm glad you specified college courses and not like hanging out in a women's bathroom or something.
Nah. But no, it was overall fun and it was great. So, yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, that's going to conclude our show. Thank you guys for joining me to talk about everything Comic-Con. Before we go, Chris, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, you guys can find me pretty much just on our podcast. I've been absolutely bogged with work, so I haven't had time to actually make any content. But aside from that, you can find my stupid postings on kazcosplay.tumblr.com. And I also have a little Facebook page, too, for Kaz Cosplay. And, I mean, like, I've finally started, like, actually getting stuff together, and once I get a break in my own schedule, I can start working in costumes again. Aside from that, of course, you can find me on the podcast and other little segments on Mission Star Podcast. Cool. Yeah, I know I'm saying the same word over and over again, but that it's in our name, so.
Oh yeah, no,
whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It's all part of the branding and getting the name out there. Jeremy, where can they find you on the internet?
I have been given a recent invite to Strategicon this coming Labor Day.
Sweet.
I have a weekly podcast show we do, the Rollin' 20s. I'm also very likely to be headed to Long Beach Comic-Con and to
Kamikaze.
Kamikaze. Thank you.
Awesome.
So I will be several places in the near future. I am on cosplay.com under Freight, and that's about it for my activities recently.
Awesome. And you can follow the work that me and Jeremy and Chris do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Defective Naruto. All the Comic-Con coverage that we've been talking about will be on our website and our YouTube channel. If you've been checking out our YouTube channel as of late, there's been some more Comic-Con coverage I've been uploading than I've been working on. In terms of future cons or projects for me, there's definitely one particular thing I am working on at the moment, which would be announced by the end of the month. And it's going to be
the sex robot.
Yes, exactly. We're making a mass army of sex robots. It did
At
not.
least you finally admit it.
It's in our budget.
I mean, it's a project that's been like 8 years in the making.
Oh yeah, definitely. But in all seriousness, there is something really excited for. It's going to be coming up pretty soon. In terms of future conventions, I will be at TwitchCon for sure. That is guaranteed.
Nice.
TwitchCon's first convention. They announced some of the panels already, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna go there. But yeah, definitely a lot of work from us from a lot of us coming conventions, and it's not gonna stop anytime soon. So with that,